Hey, what's going on guys? My name is Pansy and welcome to my Black Desert Online gear progression guide for 2025. In this video, I'm going to equip you with all the knowledge you need to go from 0 to 800 gear score. It's going to be a pretty long guide and it might not be relevant to everyone at every stage of the game. You may need to skip around. Check out the timestamps down below and use the video as you see fit. If you do enjoy this video, please do like, comment, and subscribe, and check me out at twitch.tv/I'mPansy. And if you want to support me, the best way to do so is to share this video with your friends and on Discord. Now, the way I'm going to divide this video is into several stages. I call it gates. So we're going to start from the baseline and go through 5 gates in this journey. So to kick things off, we're going to start off at the beginning at 0, at the 0 gate. Now, if you don't have any gear, that must mean you're a new player. So if you are starting out the game fresh, be sure to create a seasonal character when you do create your first character. And if you created a character already, go make a seasonal character anyway, because going through the season system in this game is the best way to get kickstarted with your gear. You'll be given 3 options when you're creating your first character. Make sure to select the season button on the bottom right, but once you do and you log into your character and you go through your tutorial, you're going to get an option to select one of 3 starter zones. It's going to give you the option for Land of the Morning Light, Ancient Stone Chamber, and Mountain of Eternal Winter. Now, the one I recommend is Ancient Stone Chamber. It gives you the most flexibility, it's simple and straightforward to start off, while Land of the Morning Light and Mountain of Eternal Winter, they kind of lock you into the quest line, and it can be a bit of a drag if you're a new player and you don't want to just immediately dive into some hardcore questing. So definitely start out with Ancient Stone Chamber. Now, when you do get through the initial quest line, you're going to need to start progressing through the main story quest line. You'll already be on it, just keep going through the quests. I know it's easy to say, hey, go do all of your main story quest line through all the regions right off the bat. It's a difficult task because it's just a long one. The quests are easy, but it is a long journey. I'm not going to force you to go and do all the main story quest lines right away, but eventually you should chip away at it little by little and eventually do them. They do give you pretty decent rewards and it helps you explore the game. You go through all the main regions and you'll be able to unlock a lot of nodes by traveling through the map. You'll unlock a lot of energy by speaking to new NPCs and discovering different nodes, and it aids you in the overall progression of your account. You also get gear rewarded as you go through the main story quest line. Now, this gear will be quickly outdated. You certainly don't need to progress through the main story quest line just for this gear right away. There is one piece of gear that I will go over that you will want to go and pick up. It'll take a couple hours of questing at most, but it's pretty easy to do and it's definitely worth doing, which I will go over later. But here's the kind of gear that you'll get for progressing through your main story quest line. This right here is a lot of the major pieces of quest gear that you get. As you can see in the AP and DP, I don't have any weapons equipped because as part of the quest, there were some weapons you'd get, but because of how quickly you get your better weapons, they're really easily invalidated. It's not worth even spending the time to convert it to different classes and stuff. So don't worry about that, but at least the armors and the accessories, they're pretty valuable because in this game, you're going to be creating a lot of alts. You're going to be leveling up alts. You're going to be playing the season multiple times because it's not just something that you do once and you're done. You can keep doing it and keep earning rewards, and it's definitely worth doing if you're a new player. So having these quests done will give you a jump start in your future characters as well, so it's definitely worth having. And this one here is an important one because it's a part of your gear progression in the beginning. This is the 8 horse power stone you get by doing the Olkidia main quest line. It's really easy to do. It might take 2 or 3 hours tops, but it's a piece of gear that you'll use for a long time. Coming back to your gear progression as a new player. Once you start out the game, start following through the main quest line, and it's going to walk you through some simple quests, and you'll slowly start unlocking Naru Gear. Naru Gear is the baseline gear. You can enhance these with beginner Blackstones, which you get by progressing through your seasonal battle pass, your season pass. It's really easy to do. There isn't anything that's gotcha and it's going to get you stuck. It's a pretty steady progression. It gives you a lot of mats and just carries you through the enhancement and progression through the seasonal server. So you'll use beginner Blackstones to enhance your armors and your weapons. You're not going to have an awakening weapon in the beginning. You'll get one after you do the awakening questline. It'll give you the next stage of the gear. You'll immediately start off with the Tuvala Awakening weapon once you do finish that quest. But for the others, you're going to have to progress to Tuvala, and it's really easy. With the beginner Blackstones, you're going to enhance your Naru gear, your armors, and your weapons. You're going to ignore the accessories, and I'll tell you why. So first, you're going to enhance your Naru armors and your weapons. They go from 0 to PEN. So essentially it's 20 enhancements levels. After 15, they call it Pry, Duo, Tri, Tet, and PEN. It's really easy to enhance. Just send it. Just start sending it. Click away and enhance. You don't really need fail stacks. If you want, you can use some. But yeah, get to 10 on your armors and on your weapons, and you should be good. Because as soon as you do reach PEN Naru, you get the option to turn these into Pry Tuvala gears. Now, Tuvala gear is a primary season gear, and it's going to be a gear that's going to take you through the beginning stages of the game quite comfortably. For the accessories, you're going to go directly to Tuvala. It's not worth enhancing the Naru. The amount of AP you get for enhancing them is so low. Tuvala gear quickly becomes better, really quickly, so it's just not worth your time at all. These two slots here are your artifacts. Talk to your Black Spirit. You'll start off with 2 free artifacts, extra AP against monsters, and the other one's going to be all damage reduction, I believe. You're going to have to farm out your second extra AP against monsters. There's a lot of places that drop it. You'll get it eventually, so don't worry too much about it. And then leaves the final slot here. That's going to be your alchemy stone. When you press U, it activates the item effect buff right here, and it's just more stats. It gives you attack speed and hidden AP, and you get the destruction spirit stone just by buying it off the marketplace. Pretty cheap. Anyone's going to be able to afford it really quick, so don't hesitate to buy it and use it. Once it depletes, you can't repair it. So what you're going to do is you're going to press L, and then you're going to grind the depleted destruction spirit stone, and you're going to get mystical spirit powder, which is resources that will be used to repair your other alchemy stones in the future. Just stack that up. Just keep buying more of these, or you might get some of them from grinding, depending on where you grind. But don't hesitate to use these. Okay, once you do your awakening questline as well, I think everything here is going to be Tuvala by then. So once you get it to Pry Tuvala, you are pretty much done with Gate 0. This is your introduction into seasonal, and you're going to start going through the seasonal system and start enjoying the gameplay BDO is known for. So you can essentially treat Naru Gear as the training wheels to learning, okay, this is the enhancement interface. I use resources to enhance gear. But anyway, that concludes Gate 0. Now we're going to get started with Gate 1. So the first gate you reach and the first path you start is the path of Tuvala Timmy. All right, so what is Tuvala Timmy? So when BDO first started, the gear progression was a very slow one, and it was a very grindy one. In 2020 or 2021, BDO introduced the seasonal server system, which was a way to kickstart a new player's journey into BDO and help them acclimate into the game a lot quicker than the old system. So it's a bit of a meme that, oh, someone is a Tuvala Timmy because they're in seasonal server and all their gear is going to be Tuvala, and you get to progress and enjoy quite a bit of BDO just by being in the Tuvala stage. Once upon a time, we used to just camp in the seasonal server even after we got to full PEN Tuvala and we finished our battle pass and everything, and it was a way to progress by staying there longer, earning resources, and then going into the main server later. But in this video, we're not doing that. We're gonna just go in a straight shot because in terms of efficiency, you don't need that anymore. But anyway, in this section, when we're talking about the path of Tuvala Timmy, we're going to go over not just the gear, but I'm also going to talk about some of the considerations you need to take in terms of building up the foundation of your account. There are more than just levels, skill points, and gear. There are things like journals, which give you account-wide AP, DP, accuracy, and other stats, which make a pretty big difference. You're going to have to do all of the journals eventually. I'm not going to say, hey, while you're in seasonal, you have to go do all of them. That is a tall order. They take time, and it's something you want to pace yourself through and not burn yourself out with really boring and chore-like activities right off the bat. You want to progressively make your way through them. Additionally, you're going to want to progress through your quest line. As I said, you get a lot of gear rewards that are intermediary gear between Naru and Tuvala in strength, which can get you a pretty good head start in your future seasonal characters, and it's definitely worth doing main story quest line all the way through at least once. But the primary reason I want you to start doing your main story quest line is, you get to explore the game, you get to discover nodes, you get more energy through the game, but Also, a questline like Land of the Morning Light gives you an important unlock that is going to be 2 crystal slots by doing the main story questline. Crystals are a really big part of your progression. I'm going to give you guys a crystal build to work towards during this stage of Tuvala Timmy, but it's not something you need to immediately grind out right away. You can slowly buy 1 crystal at a time as you go, as you save up money, because crystals are expensive. However, for the amount of money you're spending on crystals, the amount of stats you get is just insane. It makes grinding in this game super cheese once you do build out your crystal set. This is the Gate 1 crystal build that I'm going to recommend. So we have 4 ultimate combined Macalods right here. We have 2 corrupted magic crystals, 2 rebellious spirit crystals, 2 glorious crystal of gallantry Akrad, 2 crystal of brutal decimations, and these 2 slots here, guys, are unlocked by the Land of the Morning Light, that main quest line. Then you have the Garens tier, and finally, this is a flex slot. You can do something for more tankiness like Frozen Bitterness crystal, or you can do what I did here for a little bit of accuracy and monster AP. That's the crystal of precise destruction. You can also go Stalwart Fortitude, that works as well. But this is a pretty straightforward crystal build. It's just damage, but it's all you do need in the beginning, so it works. In terms of the order, you know, some of them might be in stock, some of them might not. Looks like Macalods aren't in stock. There are rebellious crystals in stock, but they're expensive. But yeah, so I guess the Macalods are the only one that aren't showing. Well, corrupted magic crystals are also not in stock in NA. These 2 are actually really important because it gives you crit hit damage, 10% each, and then the 2 set effect of having both of these is going to give you another 2%, so total 22% is pretty solid. I'd put up pre-orders on these 2 first, then work your way through all of these other ones, and then start pre-ordering your Macalods. I think that would be the best way to go. Pre-order these 2 first, then buy these over here. That's going to be Girans, Akrads, Brutal Decimation, and Precise Destruction. This is the cheapest one probably, so you can get that really quick. And then you go for the Rebellious Spirit Crystals. They're more expensive. And then finally the Macalods. But this is a pretty solid beginner crystal set to get you started. You know, the total cost is less than 10 billion silver. It's definitely achievable on a seasonal server by a new player. It just takes some time and saving up, but it's 100% worth it because look at all of these stats that you're getting. The hidden AP, the extra AP against monster. It is a massive amount of stats that you're getting. It makes you immensely stronger than not having any crystals at all. Naturally. Let's talk about the gear now. So as we were talking about in Gate 0, once you do get PEN Naru, they're going to turn into Pride Tuvala gear. But the thing about Tuvala gear is they did make it easier over the years to enhance these, and now you can enhance these straight to try without any failures. So 0 chance of failing, you can go duo and try, and then you enhance it normally. There is a chance of failure. Going from try to tet, I'd recommend a 40 stack or higher, and then going from tet to pen, 60 stack or higher. And people use much less stacks because it's so much easier to enhance. Since you're getting it straight to try, they'll use lower stacks and easily just tap it to tet over time with the help of just farming a lot of time-filled Blackstones. So anyway, however you do it, what you want to do first is once you get your Pride Tuvalas, turn them into try, all your armors as well as your weapons. So you should have 3 weapons and 4 armors at try. Now let's talk about accessories. So accessories, you can exchange your Blackstones, your Timeful Blackstones at the blacksmith to get Tuvala accessories, and then you have to get multiples of them and bash them into each other in order to enhance. So you take a base Tuvala accessory, another base one, and one of the base is going to be used as the material to enhance it. If you're successful, it'll become a pry, and then you use another base to enhance it again. If it's successful, it becomes duo, and you use another base as material, so on and so forth. And you will go all the way to a maximum of pen, but I'll tell you exactly the route I want you guys to take when doing the enhancements for your Tuvala. So the first thing we're going to do is work on our weapon. AP from weapon is key right off the bat. It makes you a lot stronger. If you're playing a succession class, focus on your main hand first. If you're playing an awaken class, focus on the awakening first. But regardless, you're going to take both of these to pen and then the offhand. Now, for your armors, you're not going to take all of them to pen. You're going to take 3 of them to pen and 1 of them to tet. And same thing with your accessories. You're going to take 3 of them, your necklace, belt, and ring to pen. And then you can leave 1 of the earrings at tet. And I'll tell you why. Because when you're going through the seasonal battle pass, there's 2 items they give you 2 stones which allow you to enhance with 100% success chance from tet to pen. I usually do it on my last 2 pieces of gear. One of the stones is going to be for armors and weapons, and one of them is going to be for accessories. So I recommend enhance all your gear and then leave one of your armor pieces at tet. Normally I leave the helmet at tet, and then I leave an earring at tet. So it should look like this. Once you do get to that stage in the battle pass, you just take that stone, slam it in, take this to pen, as well as your accessory to pen. Now you notice I have a Naru accessory, a Naru earring, and a Naru ring here. That's because as you go through the battle pass, it's going to give you a free PEN Tuvala ring and a free PEN Tuvala earring. So you don't need to waste resources on getting these two, your second ring and earring enhanced. All in all, leaving this one at tet and this one at tet, and leaving these two at Naru, and unlocking the enhancements plus the free accessories through your battle pass is the easiest way to go about it. Once you do enhance these last 2 pieces to pen and unlock your free accessories here, this is what your gear is going to be looking like. I changed the alchemy stone to the Ator's power stone. I do recommend you guys go and do the Ulukidek quest line to get this. It really is worth it. It'll last you quite a bit of time. Don't ever worry about upgrading these. You can just leave it at the base. Don't even think about this right now or later. By now you should have your second monster AP artifact. And let's talk about the Lightstone sets. These are also similar to crystals, but they go in your artifact. Now when you die in this game, there's a chance you'll lose your crystals. Any one of these can break on death. However, on your artifact, these Lightstones do not break. You don't have to worry about them breaking from dying. They do break if you're trying to remove it and you're not using the item to extract it, but you can buy that from the Blackstone for like 10 mil, really easy, or how much ever it was, I forget. But anyway, Lightstones are safe. Now let's talk about the different sets that you want to consider picking up. Now the most popular one is going to be all out attack. This is going to be just raw damage, you know. It's just straight up power at the sacrifice of defensive stats, your damage reduction and evasion, but that's okay. You'll still get some crit damage as well. And if you include the stats of the individual Lightstones along with the set bonus, it's pretty sizable. So this is what you're looking at in total. So you got 24 hidden AP plus 5% critical hit damage. It's huge. And this is going to be your primary PvE Lightstone set for a long time. Then you have the wild set. So these are specific to species damage. Because we have all out attack, you don't need to do the wild, the base set. This is just against extra AP against monster. All out attack is better in every way. Then you have these 3: humans, demi-humans, and Kama Sylvia. The mobs in this game are given a type of species. They're either one of these 3: humans, demi-humans, Kama Sylvia for the most part. And depending on that, you can get more damage by getting the species damage, because the way the damage formula works is once you hit the cap, it greatly reduces your AP in certain spots. So by having species damage, you're able to push past that in terms of damage. I can go into more in depth later down the line, but we'll leave that out for this video. A lot of nerdy formulas, but for the most part, you do want to start working towards these. However, there's very few spots which really are using humans, which I still recommend doing because, you know, as you progress through the game, you might want to grind at certain spots which do have human mobs. It really depends on which class you're playing and where that class shines through your current stage in the game. But demi-humans, Kama Sylvia, and humans are the order that I would personally go, and I would definitely recommend you pick these up as well. But as long as you have all out attack, you should be good. Now, while you're in the seasonal server and even after, one important thing to consider is AFKing in this game. There are certain activities in this game that are AFK. That means you can just keep your computer running 24/7 and your character will be doing the activities, and you know, every so often you can interfere with it and reset your inventory and liquidate the silver and allow your character to get back to work. The most popular one right now is AFK fishing. It makes a lot of money. I've written 2 detailed guides on it. It might not be 100% for you right off the rip, but eventually you want to start AFK fishing. Some of the rewards you get for AFK fishing in major towns and exchanging silicants are important. They allow you to progress pretty soon after you leave the seasonal server, and I'm going to explain how that happens. But at this point, I recommend you learn about AFK fishing. I have a guide. I'll link it in the description down below, so make sure you take a look at it when you are ready to start thinking about AFK fishing. Next, I want to give you a few tips in terms of future progression related activities. You'll get these bosses called rift bosses. They slowly accumulate over the week and you get up to about 6, I believe now, and you can go kill them. They start off at the stage of PEN. They were quite difficult, but with Tuvala Gear you should be able to down them, and they slowly degrade day by day until they're at a pry level where they're pretty cheese and easy. These rift bosses drop items called Dawn Blackstones, which are used for very high-end gear enhancements, but these are a form of time gating. So in the future they will come in handy, and also as you kill these rift bosses you do earn money through the random drops they give you as well. So I do believe it's worth doing. BDO is also known to give out freebies every so often. They have a lot of events, constantly running events, pretty much every week or few weeks. There's always some cycling out, but several times a year they have something called balls where they have a big party stream and they announce like huge announcements, upcoming content and stuff, and they like to give out freebies. And you know, once upon a time PEN Blackstars used to be the best weapon and we very coveted, and they started giving those out for free. Similarly, Tier 10 horses were also very exclusive, and they've recently given out one of those for free as well. I wanted to tell you, if you do see one of these Tier 10 horses for free, I recommend getting a Pegasus. Pegasus is so key and vital to being able to move around quickly in the world. Even if it's a Tier 9, first horse, I always recommend Pegasus, but definitely as a Tier 10. It is just so much quicker. The skills it has to allow you to glide as well as pretty much pick on a jetpack and fly through the air. It really reduces the amount of time you spend traveling around in the world, and by traveling around the world quicker, you are able to progress faster. You save time. Time is money. Now, as a part of the main story quest lines, there is another one I want to recommend you do as soon as possible. That is the Magnus quest line. That also gives you some really good rewards. Very vital to do, especially receiving a free PEN boss gear. That's going to come into play really soon after you leave the seasonal character. Let's conclude the first gate. This is going to be the final step of you starting your journey on towards gate 2. And that is going to be to graduate. Once you finish the seasonal battle pass, all the items there, and you receive all your nice juicy rewards, it's going to give you an option to graduate. You just hit the button confirm and you're good to go. And thus concludes gate 1, the path of Tuvala Timmy. All right, chat, you are now done with seasonal. You have graduated. You are ready to go beyond Tuvala. Once upon a time, it made sense to stay on seasonal longer and just farm on seasonal servers, but that is not the case anymore. You get an immense amount of power just for graduating out of seasonal. For that reason, you want to graduate as soon as you're ready to go. Once you've done all the battle pass stuff, just get out of there. And it's super easy to make a second seasonal character and gear it back up to full PEN Tuvala. So it really doesn't make sense for you to just hold yourself back there. If you want to grind on seasonal, make another seasonal character. So the first thing we're going to take a look at once we pass the gate and we are on the road to Tuvala is right here. You're going to see some red weapons here. This is a PEN Blackstar. This is a Tet Blackstar. And in addition to that, you're going to see 2 Dec weapons. That is a Dec Tuvala weapon as well as an accessory. I'm going to explain both of those in due time. But first, let's talk about the Blackstars. So when it comes to the free PEN Blackstar and the free Tet Blackstar, there are a few requirements. If you're on a seasonal server, if you completed the consolidated main story questline and reached level 61, you will be qualified to receive these items. You hit the Y tab, they'll be waiting there right there for you. In terms of the Tet weapon, you want to pick it as your offhand. You want to take the offhand one. And as for the main hand versus awakening for your PEN weapon, pick the one that correlates to the spec you're playing. If you're playing an awakening class, pick awakening. If you're playing a succession class, pick main hand. If you're playing, say, archer, pick the awakening. If you're playing shy, pick the main hand. If you're playing scholar, I believe it's the main hand. If you're playing deadeye, also pick the main hand. Now, as for the Dec Tuvala weapons, I'm going to link a video in the description down below where I go through the whole process of starting the enhancements of getting a Tuvala weapon from PEN to Dec. Make sure you go check out that video if you need to understand the process of doing these two. But here I'm going to explain which items are supposed to be the Dec weapons. So obviously the weapon that you do not select for the PEN Blackstar, you're going to pick the opposite one for your Dec weapon. That is going to be, if I'm playing Awakening, I'm going to pick the main hand. If I'm playing a Succession, I'm going to pick the Awakening. And you're going to progress these from PEN to Dec over time. As a new player, you won't have the resources readily available, most likely, unless they gave out a lot of free stuff. If you don't, that's okay. Just do it over time. Slowly take it from PEN to Dec and focus on your main hand first. So as soon as you receive a PEN Blackstar Awakening weapon and a Tet Blackstar sub weapon, you want to put the Reform Stones on them. The best Reform Stones are Garmot's Hearts, and they're very difficult to get as a drop, and they do cost quite a bit, almost 20 bill. Yeah, it's 20 bill on pretty much every server. They're usually on pre-order, and it takes time for that pre-order to fill. So you want to prioritize getting a Garmot's Heart on your Awakening weapon because it unlocks 2 crystal slots, but in the very beginning, at this stage, you don't need to worry about Garmot's. Get a Karanda's Heart. And for your offhand weapon, get a Kudum's Heart, and these drop from the greater bosses. So Stormbringer Karanda will drop the Karanda's Heart, Thundercloud Kudum will drop the Kudum's Heart, and you can put them on the respective weapons. So if you do start off with a PEN Blackstar on your main hand, then don't worry. Once you do enhance your PEN Tuvala Awakening weapon to Dec and exchange it and get the Blackstar, then you can go ahead and get a Karanda's Heart and put it on then. It's just 1 crystal slot, but it does make a pretty noticeable difference to have that extra slot for your crystal build. So make sure you consider that and put in the pre-orders early and have it ready to go. As for the accessory, you want to pick the necklace. The necklace is going to be key because at Dec, you're going to exchange it for free into a Dec Kharazad, and the Kharazad necklace is just goated. Every enhancement level, it's almost giving you like 2 AP. Let me show you right here. So yeah, the Dec necklace is going to be converted into a Dec Kharazad, and as you can see, every enhancement gives you 2 AP, which is huge and is certainly the most important Kharazad accessory. And this is going to turn into a PEN Blackstar. So that gives you a pretty solid power spike right off the bat. Once you do these enhancements, once you do pick up these free Blackstars, and you're going to be noticeably stronger than you were in Tuvala. Next, let's talk about the accessories, the remaining accessories that I'm going to recommend you get full Capotia. Now, how do you get these? So there are a few ways to do this. Yes, the seasonal servers do reward these. On your battle pass, when you get to level 10, you get the reward certificate, which you exchange with Fugar and pick your reward for the character you are on. And you can only get this once per graduation. So choose wisely, but if you do choose the wrong Capotia, of course, you can go to Jatina and exchange it once per day into a different Capotia. So not the end of the world, but I would recommend you pick the ring from your first character, immediately make a second character, get it to level 10, get another certificate, and get the belt. If you do have the patience to gear up that second character, take it through the battle pass procedure and, you know, graduate and get another character, then I would recommend getting the earring as well. So it's important to have 3 because you can get the remaining 2 by other means. So I'm going to explain the other means right now. So buckle up. So first, it's going to be through the Y challenge, which if you hit Y, there's a challenge that pops up. I'll put the challenge names on screen, but basically one is going to let you pick any tri accessory, and the other one is going to gift you a Dreamy Crystal of Balance once per day for 21 days, that is. And after 21, it just stops. But those 21 Dreamy Crystal of Balance is enough to enhance that tri accessory to PEN without fail. I would pick the Capotia earring from that one and enhance that to PEN. And for the ring, once you get to level 62, the game gives you, in the challenge tab, the Y tab, it gives you a free tri Capotia ring, and you can enhance that one to PEN too with more Dreamy Crystal of Balance. How do you get these additional Crystal of Balance? You're going to have to do some fishing. When you fish in a main town, you have a chance of getting a fish called the Coelacanth. It goes into your currency exchange tab, and you can exchange those for Dreamy Crystal of Balance for a total of 75 Coelacanth for 21 Dreamy Crystal of Balance. That'll get 1 accessory from Tri to PEN, and you can only do that once per family through that reward method. But that'll get your Tri ring that you get from getting to level 62 to PEN, and that is how you can get 5 PEN Capotia accessories. Certainly you can do more graduation, and you know, you can get more of the accessories there and exchange them or something, but this is just another option in case you don't want to just keep turning out seasonal characters. But yeah, that sums up the Capotia accessories. Finally, we need to talk about the armors. So what are you going to do for your armors? The first thing is when you complete the Magnus quest line, you get to choose your own PEN boss armor for free. And I would recommend you can start off with the armor piece, and that's going to be the red nose. All right, pause guys. Quick update. This footage was recorded before this patch, but after the June 12th patch, Perlibis has changed the number of Caphra stones required for the dim tree, equalizing it to the red nose. So in the future, if you are going for one of these armors, I'd recommend you go with dim tree. But in this video, I show red nose because it required less Caphra stones in the past. And if you already have the red nose armor, don't worry, stick with it and just get it to C10. Both of them will end up as Fallen God armors anyway, so it's not a deal breaker. However, if you do have a choice, go with Dim Tree or pick the cheapest one on the marketplace. Let's just switch to the next one right here. I would recommend taking the Magnus reward box. Now, currently there's an event going on. If you got a seasonal character to level 60, you should have another pen selection box. I'm not sure it's going to be around forever, but if it is, you can pick one of the other ones. Personally, I really prioritize the gloves because of accuracy, so you can definitely do that. And as for the remaining ones, you can do it there's a few methods to do it. One, you can enhance your own, which why bother? You can do the guaranteed Pen Jatina method, which guaranteed allows you to enhance a Tet boss gear by 5 stages all the way up to Pen. That is only worth it when boss gear is actually kind of expensive and you have to do the math on the materials and resources you need. You can look online and just look up what mats you need and you can do the math. But pretty much I'm going to guess that it's not worth doing because boss gear are pretty cheap right now. Last I checked, they were like between 9 and 10 bill. Just grind it out and buy them. They're pretty affordable. So, you know, just go ahead and get that and fill up the remaining slots here and you should be good to go. So once you do get these two Dec, you can exchange them for a Blackstar and Kharazad, and you will officially be off your training wheels. No more Tuvala gear on your character. And there we go, chat. That concludes the road to Tuvala, and we move on towards the third gate. Now you might be wondering, when you're selecting your boss gears, do you go Evasion or do you go DR? If you are new and you're just playing in PvE right now, you're not serious about PvP, there really isn't any reason for you to go Evasion. I'd say just go DR. Make your life easier. For Evasion, in order for Evasion to really shine, you're going to need to sacrifice crystals. You're going to have to socket in crystals that are specifically geared for Evasion. Whereas DR, full AP monkey. But also DR characters, in terms of PvP builds, they get to go a lot more damage oriented builds, taking up a lot more human damage slots, whereas Evasion classes, they just pump up the Evasion to the max on their crystal builds. So that does come into consideration, and also most importantly, based on your class, what you should generally go. This is because certain classes have passives which give them more evasion, or certain skills proc an evasion buff, which makes them into an evasion class or evasion oriented class, and that makes a pretty big difference. Other classes are more geared towards DR, like a shield class, for example. Most of the time, those classes are going to just shine as DR classes. So depending on your class, as well as depending on what you are trying to do. If you're a PvE player, like I said, DR will serve you well. If you are someone who's looking to get into open world PvP, you could consider going Evasion, but listen, it takes time to get to that point. You know, if you're at this stage of gear, you're not ready for open world PvP. I'd say focus up on grinding. You can always change it later, but at the same time, if you do want to, you know, progress in PvP as you go along, you know, even if it's just with your guildies or something casual, you know, fair enough. It's your choice. On screen, I'm going to put out a list of all classes which should belong under DR or Evasion. All right, onwards to Gate 3, Cultivation begins. So cultivation is a gaming term. If you haven't heard it, let me give you a quick definition right here. Cultivation usually refers to the process of gradually improving or leveling up a character, item, or resource through repeated effort over time. This includes farming resources or experience points, grinding to increase stats or skills, developing or nurturing in-game assets like crops, in-game farming, pets, characters, and building up power or progression in a slow, steady way. It's about consistent, intentional growth, cultivating your game progress bit by bit. And that explains the journey of BDO to the T. That is exactly what BDO is about. It's about chipping away at the grind, little by little, getting stronger and stronger and stronger. You're developing your character, your account, you're developing your gear, you're developing your skill. This is all cultivation little by little improvements that add up over time. Now, this stage of the grind, you are going to start feeling what a grind is. You get to do some of the fun grind spots like, Jade Forest and stuff in a little bit. And, it's about repeatedly grinding, turning at the silver, and little by little, you'll see your gear get better and better. And you'll feel a lot stronger at the end of this gate. So let's talk about the two items that you see, Distortion earrings and Vells. This is different from the previous screen. The two Tet Distortion earrings you can buy whenever you're ready to buy. I personally would just buy them off the rip, AP monkey all the way, but you can just buy them one after the other throughout the progress I'm going to explain at this stage. And for the Vells heart, I'd say put up a pre-order as soon as possible. They are difficult to come by nowadays sometimes. Might take a little while with the pre-order, so as soon as you can, put up a pre-order right there. Next, you can progress, as soon as you get your Vells heart, you can progress it to the Exalted stage. That'll give you 4 additional DP. And then you're going to be, in the meantime, working on your gear. As you see here, they are at C10. But how do you get it to this stage? Well, the most efficient way to do it is getting all your boss gear Caphra leveled up one by one together, because as you can see on the levels, you get a lot of DP for this progression. So keeping them at the same level one by one, that's the most efficient way to get the most amount of stats and bang for your buck for the Caphra stones. Make sure you start doing this as soon as you have Caphras and as soon as you get the boss gears. You can save up all your Caphras throughout playing and start dumping them as soon as you get the boss gear. But this is how you go about it. It's going to be just a steady progression right there. And by the time you're done with the Tet Distos and your Exalted Vells and C10 boss armors, you got 301 AP and you got 377 DP. But the reason why we're getting these boss gears to C10 is so that we can morph them into the Slumbering Origin armors. That consists of the Fallen God armor, the Labresca helmet, the Don's glove, and the Ator shoe. There are two components to getting a Slumbering Origin armor. One is the armor, the other is the flame. For the armor, you need either a C10 boss armor or a PEN Blackstar armor. I don't know why you would have it, but if you do, there you go. But otherwise, quit memeing. So once you do have a C10 boss armor, you also need the flame, which it drops at certain grind spots. And for the most part, just buy them. Put up a pre-order. If they're not on there, they will come in pretty quickly. Nowadays, especially, they should be sitting. Most of them should be sitting there. Easiest ones to get is going to be the gloves, the armor and helmet. And I believe for the Ator shoe, that one might be a bit more pricey or might come in a bit slower, but for the most part, embers should be sitting there. You can buy 100 embers and just combine them to get the flame as well. But overall, it's just a matter of silver. You'll get them, no problem, just buy them. And once you do buy them, convert them into their respective Slumbering Origin armor. Just do the whole quest line and you should be good to go. And once you do get the armors unlocked and once you have them, make sure you enhance them to Duo. They're pretty easy to get to Duo. I wouldn't really worry about it. Drop the resources and get it done. This gives you a massive amount of DP. This will push you over 700 gear score provided you have all your journals done. You're going to be sitting with 301 AP and 401 DP. That is definitely a respectable amount of stats to be sitting on. Congratulations! That is your first taste of Cultivation. Now, my friends, we are on the road to Gate 6, the journey of Cultivation. You thought Cultivation ended with the last gate? Nah, it's forever. You will never stop grinding. They will always release new gear. This grind is never ending. It's perpetual, okay? Get used to it. But seriously though, it takes a lot of hours to get to 800 gear score or that upper echelon of gears and players. Think about it carefully. Is it worth it? Is it something you really want to do? It's about your free time. It's about your life. It's about providence. It's not just getting that gear score and then you're a god. You can be strong and formidable without getting to 800 or just getting high enough that you can compete with others. Or how about this? What if you get halfway through the journey, you spend over 500, 600, 700 hours, you grinded your ass off, spent so many evenings and weekends playing and grinding for it, but only to get burnt out, quit and not play the game? Or you come back after a year or two and you're behind by an additional 20, 30 gear score from other players. Like, is it worth it? Think about it for yourself. But this is the point where it's going to start getting harder and harder and harder. Okay, so let's get started with Gate 4, the Journey of Cultivation. The first thing you're going to see different here is going to be the necklace. We enhanced this from Tet to Pen to Hex. The necklace, as I mentioned earlier, it's going to give you 2 AP every step. So by getting it from Tet to Hex, you're going to have a juicy 4 additional AP. In addition to these, you'll also see my artifacts. They are the Kabua's artifacts. When you get to the endgame grind spots, having Kabua's is key. In terms of PvE, they give you so much tankiness. Look at it. Each one gives you 100 HP, 20 monster DR, 7 monster damage, and 75 stamina. That is huge. So definitely at Kabua's, definitely consider starting tapping your Kharazad necklace. Then, boom, you suddenly have all PEN Kharazad accessories. Kidding. Okay, so how do you get PEN Kharazads? Well, you do it by getting Tet Debo accessories. And a Tet Debo accessory converts to a PEN Kharazad. So you're going to have to get Tet Debo accessories in 5 slots here. It is a bit of a grind, but they are available on the market. So just straight up buy them. But once you do convert them to Kharazad, this is kind of like the first step. You don't have to do it all in one go. There are other things that we're going to be doing at this gate that you need to start working on. And that is going to be your weapons. Blackstars, great. They lasted you a long time, but you need to start thinking bigger. Right here, I put 2 sovereign weapons, but you don't need to go for 2 immediately. It's just to give you an image here in terms of what you're aiming for eventually. But listen, getting a sovereign weapon is not just about getting more AP, it's also the substats associated with it. You got Reforged Stones, that'll give you crit damage, AP, Black Spirit Rage Recovery, back attack damage, and crit rate. Those are the 5 that I have here. You can change out the crit rate one, the crit hit rate one for say down attack damage. That really helps in spots like Tungrad Ruins. So yeah, these are going to give you a lot of stats that you're not going to otherwise be able to get through crystals or gears in some cases. So sovereign weapons are important, but like I said, you don't have to like push through and get all these accessories out first and then go to sovereign weapons or something. You could slowly progress to it. You already have PEN Blackstars. There are 2 ways to get sovereign weapons. One is with the Primordial Flame. There are 4 weekly Line of the Morning Light bosses. You should be hitting all 4 of them every week and getting their reward boxes. And if you do a lot of damage and you're in the top 9 or top 10 of the damage for those bosses, you also have a small chance to get the full Primordial Flame drop, which will allow you to combine a PEN Blackstar with the flame and exchange that for your sovereign weapon. Otherwise, you can attend those world bosses and get those Primordial Flame embers, get 100 of them, combine them, and you'll be able to get the flame that way. The other way is with getting an additional Blackstar. So 2 PEN Awakening Blackstars can be exchanged for a sovereign weapon, 2 PEN main hand for main hand, 2 PEN Awakening for awakening. All in all, there are options there. There's a third method, which involves getting a boss weapon to C20 and then making this gem with 20,000 Caphras. It's just the most expensive method. You can just buy a Blackstar for cheaper. It's not even worth considering. But listen, if you are going to be playing for a long time, if you are consistent with the game, I would definitely recommend you attend the world bosses and save up. And then if you can get one by saving up and the other one by buying a PEN Blackstar, it makes it a lot easier. Definitely put out boss alts out there or go with your main and do some big damage and get the drop, but up to you. And finally, for your weapons, you also have your offhand. You can consider at this point to get it to PEN, because you're at the stage you're going to be grinding at places which kind of hurt. So you should definitely consider getting this, because this is 7 gear score you're getting. If you are at a Tet Blackstar going to PEN, you get 2 AP and 5 DP. So that is actually pretty nice, pretty decent time to get it, I'd say. Otherwise, you can progress with the next section and slowly progress through and eventually go for that. But realistically, get your sovereign weapons when you can and get your sub weapon to PEN as well. Now you are at the cusp of the end game grind spots. I was at 737 earlier this year. My stats were a bit different here, but I was at the same gear score. The grind spots hurt. I've died plenty of times, even with 426 DP I have right now. I've died plenty of times on stream. So it happens. DP good, guys. So anyway, that concludes Gate 4. That is the journey of cultivation. And we move on to Gate 5. If you're at this point in the video, that means you're like me. You're not exactly normal. Some might even call you a lunatic. to be engaging in a grind like this. So here we are, Gate 5. Go Beyond, plus Ultra Instinct Bunkai Gear 5, and we're going to send it all the way from 739 to 800. So take a shot of whatever you want, and let's get to it. All right, so the first thing we're going to be doing here is let's take a look at our accessories. So in this stage of the game, you are going to be playing the Kharazad game. This is not Black Desert Online anymore. This is Cron Desert Online. PA has won. They have driven all gear progression to this point in life skills, in PvE accessories, in weapons, armors, everything. This is where we are at now. What are we going to do first? I say take your necklace to SEP. Most people might say, hey, this might be one of those things where, oh, like the Caphras, you can go one by one and you can get a little bit stronger each time. No, there's a method to my madness, okay? Let me cook. So first, we're going with SEP on the necklace. Then go to your rings and your belt. Get them to Hex. That'll give you another 3 AP. So you got 2 from your necklace, 3 from your rings and belt. Now you might think now's the time to work on the earrings, right? No, we're gonna send that necklace to Oct. And I'm telling you from experience, this is what I did. And if you don't want to, you can get these 2 to SEP first and then send it to Oct. That's perfectly fine, but this is what I did, so I'm telling you my journey here. And then finally, if you haven't gotten these guys to SEP yet, get them to SEP. Okay, so your necklace should be at Oct, your ring should be at SEP, your belt should be at SEP. Now, why did we not include our earrings? Well, for whatever reason, PA thought it would be funny to make Pansy look like a loser in front of his guild by tapping a Hex earring and then keeping it on, and then later wondering, I thought it was supposed to be at 330 AP. Why am I not at 330 AP? It's because they don't give you an AP point at Hex. Why? Because they thought it would be funny, but it's not. It's stupid. Anyway, that's why we're not touching these just yet. I was focusing on these guys first because they're more normal in a sense. Now you're at this point. What are we going to do? We're not just going to get these to Hex. We're taking them to SEP. So your necklace, you can take it from Oct to Nav if you're ready, or you can get these 2 boys to SEP and you'll be in a good spot where now you're going to have to be working on Ox, or you can send your necklace to Nav. That's what I did, okay? I'm not just giving you blind advice here. You should also consider getting your Slumbering Origin armors up to try. Listen, guys, these spots clap at the end game. They hit hard. Like, trust me, on stream, I die every single stream. I lose crystals at DSR, even with 426 DP. I also grind Decia Ash Forest. I also want to be doing Olins too. Dolans too. You're going to need the DP. Get your Slumbering Origin armors to try at some point, okay? You don't need to go directly to Tet yet. You'll eventually want to go, especially if you're a PvP player, if you want some more flexibility with your stats and stuff, but get it to at least try. That is a good point to be at in the end game. And then finally, easier said than done, but once your armors are try, your necklace is Nav, the rest can go to Nav as well. Now that everything is at Nav, you can't really push these past any further without Dawn Blackstones. Those drop from doing your Dark Rift bosses every week. So make sure you've been on top of it if you haven't, or start now. You know, better late than never. You need those resources in order to take them to the final stage. In the final stage, once again, you'll get 1 AP on the remaining accessories and 2 AP on the necklace, but you know, that is the end game goal. That is the final steps, one of the final steps. So at this point, right, we're going to shift our focus to our weapons again. You want to take them up to Oct. Weapons are much harder to get up than your Kharazads. That's why we've been focusing on them first. But now is the time to do it. Now is the time to get that sick glow, so people don't look at you like a nooblet. And now you're at another crossroad. What you're going to do is, once you have your Oct weapons, you could consider going for your Tet armors, your Tet Slumbering Origin armors. Up to you. Personally, I would like to see mine up there at that point, because getting that DP would be nice, especially as PA releases new content for the end game. They are going to be releasing more and more content there, so it won't be a matter of, hey, I'm missing 20 DP, but I still grind here fine. Eventually, you're going to feel the lack of DP, so I would consider getting all Tet Slumbering Origin armors at that point. And then finally, as you save up your Dawn Blackstones, you're slowly going to progress all of your Kharazad accessories to Dec. And lastly, once you are done generating all the stacks you need for your 6 Kharazad Dec accessories, you'll want to start focusing on getting your weapons to Nav and then finally to Dec as well. And there you have it, folks. 362 AP, 438 DP, and 800 gear score. They're not even going to tell you to go touch grass. They're going to tell grass to touch you. Good job, champ. All right, guys, that's my gear progression guide for Black Desert Online in 2025. I hope it helped. I am not at 800 gear score, but I am, you know, almost there. I mean, like, I'm getting there. I'm at that 760 mark now, and, you know, I haven't really been grinding this game gung-ho. I told myself, listen, I am very likely to stop playing and taking long breaks. I'm prone to taking long breaks. I always do. So for me, going full force at the grind to progress and reach that 800 gear score is not realistic. So I do a lot of AFK activities. I save up a lot of resources, and every once in a while I do a big enhancement spree. Early in January, as I reached the 730 something mark, after I modernized my gear, getting my sovereigns, getting my Kharazads, and then just a couple days before I recorded this, I did another enhancing session, got my Nav necklace, Octobelt, and a few other gains there. So I'm currently at the 761 or 762 mark. So I got a long way to go, and I know a lot of you are all over the place. So if you're watching this video, those of you at the end stage probably don't need this advice, but listen, play this game at your own pace. It's a game. Don't treat it more than that. It's one thing if you're a content creator trying to make a buck, but otherwise, play it at your own pace, you know, treat it as a game, and most importantly, have fun. If you're not having fun, then what's the point, right? I hope you found this video helpful. Please do like, comment, and subscribe if you did. Check me out at twitch.tv/I'mPansy. I did bring my streams back. I'm a lot more consistent than before, so hope to see you guys there. And finally, if you want to support me, the best way to do so is to share this video with your friends and on Discord. I'll see you again soon. Peace.